It's become a too regular occurrence in the United States. People wake up almost every day and hear that there's been a shooting of some sort with several casualties. But what can be done to prevent, handle and even recover from any type of gun violence emergency or disaster? I'm Brooke Holes. Welcome to the program. Let's bring in former SWAT member Corey Jones. Welcome on in, Corey. It's great to see you. I mean, where do we even address gun violence? For us in Australia and many Western countries, we think the easy answer is just banning guns altogether. But is it really that easy? I mean, is it regulation perhaps that's the answer here?
Thanks for that question. And I believe you're partially on the right track. We definitely have to control the weapons. I kind of put it in the category similar to if you're going to get a mortgage or a driver's license, we don't just hand those out at awesome responsibility. We definitely need to ensure that the person who's going to be tasked with that is checked and is worthy and ready to accept that.
And Corey, as we mentioned, you were a former SWAT member. No doubt you were involved in mass shootings or gun violence incidents. So what do people like you do in those incidences when you go through such a tragedy? What's it like?
Well, first you have to have that awareness to even understand that something like that could happen. So it kind of helps remove the shock. So when it actually is happening, you're able to move into the response category, which is kind of what you're looking at there. So if you feel that it can happen and you take reasonable steps to protect yourself, similar to a fire escape or fire drills in your office building or in your school, it kind of minimizes the negative effects that can have on you and helps prepare you so you can hopefully safely survive it and then emotionally survive it afterwards.
And what's your thoughts on recent events? I mean, we had Uvalde last year, Tyree Nichols. Do you feel for those SWAT members and the families and people that go through gun violence? And does it, I guess, trigger you back to your days as a SWAT member?
That is one of the most triggering things that there is. And I definitely feel for those officers. There's issues that are coming out that point to a lack of leadership and a lack of decision making and a failure to plan for something like that, to realize that it could actually happen. It's one thing to train for it on paper. It's another thing to go through real world scenarios where there's time pressure, cause you to have to make that difficult decision to move in and save lives.
And Corey, you mentioned just before that, not everyone should be able to have a gun. It's like a mortgage or a car license. But your president, Joe Biden, has called for a ban on assault weapons. What do you make of this? Is this too harsh or is this perhaps what's needed?
What you just said in your question right there has a lot to do with what the possible answer is. There's a generic term of guns, which is all firearms, and then there's specific categories: machine guns, assault weapons, which is kind of like a generic term that just says all weapons are made to assault. No weapon is made to not hurt somebody. It's just the ability with which a person can defend themselves. So again, I go back to, let's ensure that the people we're giving the responsibility to, we know who they are, they've purchase the weapons legally, and that they have training, which is the biggest word, is training in how to effectively use that weapon, manage your emotions, and ensure that you're not putting yourselves in a situation where you're just taking unnecessary risks because you have a weapon.
Now, Corey, let's talk about, I guess, the hysteria of mass shootings. Now, of course, I'm the first to say media can be the problem. We make a big song and dance about things happening when it comes to mass shootings. But are people becoming too paranoid, or are they actually becoming more regular?
Both. So I want people to be prepared, the good word. I don't want people to be paranoid. I don't want people to be afraid to go out and enjoy themselves, to have fun, to pursue a career, to raise a family. But I don't want that to turn into paranoia. I want you to take reasonable steps to prepare yourself, just like the flight attendants do when you get on an airplane. They don't say crash, crash, crash. This is going to be a terrible event. But in the event there is an incident, we want you to take reasonable steps to help us keep you safe.
And Corey, what's your advice to those who perhaps do have anxiety or know someone who's been a part of gun violence? What's your message to them, as you mentioned, going about their regular day, even schools, teachers? Just last week, someone in the journalism field was killed just simply doing their job in Florida. Do you think people should be more careful, not only when they're going out and about with their friends, but also at their workplaces?
Careful is a key word, and it goes back to being prepared and being aware. If you remember, it wasn't too long ago where people weren't wearing seatbelts in cars, and because we took an aggressive stance in promoting the effectiveness of just a simple step of putting your seatbelt on can make you safer before a crash, during a crash, and obviously after a crash to help mitigate those injuries to you and your passengers who you're responsible for. So hysteria, I don't think is a proper word. I think awareness is what we want people to do and cause them, cause me, cause you to take reasonable steps to ensure that we are safe so we can then enjoy ourselves.
Yeah, thank you for bringing those to light, Corey. It's great to have your education and, of course, bringing your experience from your time in the SWAT. We appreciate your time. No doubt we'll catch up soon.
Okay, stay safe.
Okay, I'm Brooke Coles. Thanks for being here with us. Stay with us. There's plenty more analysis and ticker news coming up right after this.
You're watching Ticker News.